What is up and good evening everybody who is in LA. Well, it's 5:30 out here on the West Coast, but yeah. There's a pretty big little what they say in British English row between Jon Stewart and JK Rowling, and Jon Stewart clarified himself today, but yesterday he made a very hot take on JK Rowling. To me, like, I was a big fan, to be honest with you. I was a big fan of Jon Stewart back in the early 2000s, back on The Daily Show. Like, I was a big fan of The Daily Show back then. Like, he was the counter. The thing was, like, 20 years ago, Jon Stewart was the counterculture because the mainstream culture back then was a bit more to the right than the current culture now. And now since there's like been a great realignment in the last 20 years, now Jon Stewart is another voice of liberalism. But yeah, he's pretty much back in the whole like cultural like conversation and all that. And he called out J.K. Rowling's and the thing is like the way Variety framed this, they're trying to make this look objective. Like Jon Stewart calls out J.K. Rowling's anti-Semitic goblins. Why did they frame it? Let's see, Jack Sharf. Why did Jack Sharf frame it like, or like the way the title should have said was John K. Stewart accuses J.K. Rowling of anti-Semitism, accuses J.K. Rowling of anti-Semitism using goblins in the Harry Potter franchise. He should have said that, but he said Jon Stewart calls out. You see, on the left, when they say cancel culture, they call it call out culture, or like accountability culture. And like as you see here, Stewart was in disbelief the first time he saw the Harry Potter goblins on screen. Who should run the bank? Jeez. And if you think about it, Harry Potter was written back in the 90s. It was a the 90s was pretty politically correct. Like political correctness was becoming mainstream back then. Like I grew up in the 90s. But the thing is, like, there was more, the counterculture was more like anti PC, a lot more edgy, and you can get away with a lot more stuff like 20 years ago than you can now. I mean, just look at Chappelle right now. Just look at all of the woke anger against Dave Chappelle right now. Like, the Chappelle show would not exist the way it is if it came out in the 2020s. It just won't because it just wasn't not politically correct enough. It harms marginalized people, even though Dave Chappelle is black. But the thing is, like, to the left, if you get a little bit of money, you lose your blackness. The thing is, you become like a rich person. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, to the left's mind, like, if you're black and rich, you're not black enough. I know how the left plays, man. That's why I'm not really a part of that. But yeah, I know how their mindset works. But as you see, like on a December 2021 episode of Jon Stewart's, the problem with Jon Stewart is podcast. He's calling out J.K. Rowling's depiction of goblins in the author's Harry Potter franchise. In the Harry Potter universe, goblins work and run the Gringotts Bank. Stewart drew a comparison to the goblins depicted on the screen in the Harry Potter films and the anti-Semitic illustrations featured in the 1903 book, The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Oh, Lord, Zion. Oh, boy. They're really going there. That's the thing, like, the thing is, like, these dudes, the thing is, like, folks like Jon Stewart, think like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, like, isn't a fan of identity politics for the most part. When we talk about Jewish issues, then you see the identity politics come out. That's the one thing that always trips me up about the hypocrisy like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you say something, anything critical against them, oh, this anti-Semitic, or like you say things like, oh, yeah, race. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, here's how you know Jews are still where they are. Stewart said on the podcast episode, talking to people, here's what I say: have you ever seen the Harry Potter movie? Have you ever seen the scenes in Gringotts Bank? Do you know what those folks who run the bank are? Jews, and they're like, oh, the illustration from Harry Potter. And you're like, no, that's a caricature of a Jew from an anti-Semitic piece of literature. J.K. Rowling was like, can we get those guys to run our bank? It's a wizarding world. You can ride dragons. You can have a pet owl. But who should run the bank? Jews. But what if the heat was Strapper? Did he really accuse J.K. Rowling of that? Man, that's a pretty strong accusation, Jon Stewart. If I'm J.K. Rowling, I file a lawsuit right now. That's pretty slanderous right there. It was one of those things where I shot on the screen, And I was expecting the crowd to be like, holy shit, JK Rowling did not, in the Wizarding World, just throw Jews in there to run the underground bank. Stewart at it, and everybody was like, wizards! It was so weird! Charity group Campaign Against Anti-Semitism issued his own statement on the matter, reminding Harry Potter that Rowling has been a tireless defender of the Jewish community over the years. As for the Goblins, the group said the look of the creatures is a piece of with their portrayal of Western literature as a whole. AKA, they're trying to start something up for the headlines. And I gotta tell you, man, the woke media really can't stand J.K. Rowling for like the last couple of years, and she's pretty much like just a basic mainstream like British Labour Party person. I mean, she's a British liberal. I mean, she's to the left of us, like mostly. I mean, she's to the left of me politically, and I'm pretty liberal on a lot of things, but she's far to the left of me on a lot of things. And the thing is, the woke left can't stand her because of her position on trans people. Because she feels like the whole trans thing could be used as like slippery slope. It could be used as a slippery slope for like creepy men that get into girls' bathrooms. Like that's her problem with like the transgender movement. And the thing is, they're trying to silence her and like all kinds of organizations trying to silence J.K. Rowling. But the thing is, they can't really cancel her because she has the FU money. She can just pretty much she can pretty much retire and just sail off in the sunset or start her own media company. I mean, she has so much money, so much cultural power, like, they can't really do anything against her. Like I'm saying, Rowling's anti-trans views have been condemned by Harry Potter actors such as Dan Radcliffe, with Warner Brothers issuing a known statement on the matter in June 2020. Warner Brothers' position of inclusiveness is well established, and fostering a diverse and inclusive culture has never been more important to our company and to our audiences around the world. We deeply value the work of our storytellers who give so much of themselves in sharing their creations with us all. We recognize our responsibility to foster empathy and advocate understanding in all communities and all people, particularly those we work with. And what are they doing? What are they doing? I mean, this is just virtue signaling. It's like, I mean, I gotta tell you, I can't stand this type of like call out culture, this Tumblr leftism. Pretty much, it's just calling out people just to get yourself like more. Let's improve your social standing, like get yourself more clout. That's all it is. And then like you see from see a clip. I'll show you, play a little clip. I don't want to lose my average.
John, every time we talk, you know I've been to bar mitzvah.
I think it's a wise choice. What was a bar mitzvah in Mississippi? Just out of curiosity.
And then, oh man, yeah, I can't really get into it. But yeah, here's a campaign against anti-Semitism. Oh man, even the campaign against anti-Semitism took J.K. Rowling's side. And yeah. For your consideration, yeah, I gotta tell you guys, check out this film, Lost Daughter. I mean, I've seen the film like a couple of days ago, and anything with Olivia Colman in it is usually pretty good, and she is really good in this film, and she's most likely going to win an Oscar for this one. I mean, she's just incredibly talented. She can do like Olivia Colman can do any kind of role. Like, she can do dramatic roles, she can do comedic roles. I mean, like, I saw her like on Peep Show for a while, and she's just incredibly talented. She's going to win an Oscar. She's most likely going to win an Oscar for The Lost Daughter. But yeah, I recommend checking out the film out. And then the day afterwards, Jon Stewart clarifies his comments on anti-Semitic depiction because it spread all over Twitter. You know what I'm saying? All the woke folks on Twitter. Oh, yeah. Oh, now JK Rowling's anti-Semitic. Oh, first she was a TERF. Now she's anti-Semitic. You know what I'm saying? Like those purple hairs. You know what I'm saying? Like all those Twitter activists, you know, virtue signaling to each other. That's pretty much all they're doing is virtue signaling to their friends to be the wokest of thou. But yeah, let's see Jon Stewart's response. Jon Stewart has pushed back against the headlines that suggested he was accusing Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling of being anti-Semitic over the depiction of the Goblins in the Harry Potter series. Day after the video clip, Jon Stewart talking about Harry Potter went viral. Stewart is to review clarification on this podcast. The problem. Let's say a little bit of clip of this. Hey, fair use,
back.
YouTube.
We are doing the podcast again. We had
a
lovely
fair use.
Break. Lovely is probably overstating it. It was quarantine and a terrible pandemic
That is correct.
wreaking havoc. But before we get going,
that's my hat.
I have to address this. This is bonkers, guys. So if you remember, like a month ago, I recorded one of the podcasts with Henrik and Jay, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we were bullshitting about all kinds of stuff. And we started talking about bar mitzvahs. And then Jay said something like he did a funny riff on it, like what chapter of Harry Potter was that? And we went off on a Harry Potter thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is no reasonable person that could have watched it and not seen it as a lighthearted conversation among.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, he had to clarify everything, like, push back on, like, Newsweek and all these Twitter activists, because he comes from the old school. He's an old school liberal. Like, yeah, he's an old school liberal. I mean, old school liberals listen to both sides of the conversation. I mean, the old school liberals just have a great sense of humor. Old school liberals are not into, like, canceling people. They're into, like, understanding the other side. You know what I'm saying? The woke left, they're not into understanding. They're into punishing. They're into shunning. They're into, like, cutting folks out, which is a very different mentality than old school liberals like Jon Stewart.
Amongst colleagues and chums, having a larf, enjoying ourselves about Harry Potter and my experience watching it for the first time in a theater as a Jewish guy, and how some tropes are so embedded in society that they're basically invisible, even in a considered process like movie making, right?
I mean, to be honest with you, it pretty much obvious who controls the entertainment industry, but you can't really say that out loud because he could be accused of being anti-Semitic. I mean, just for saying that. But as you see, really, he can't stress enough. He ain't accusing JK Rowling of being anti-Semitic. You can watch this clarification above or the discussion on Harry Potter below. So yeah, he cleared up the whole row that happened yesterday, and let's see. Let's move on. Let's move on to some Twitter hot takes on J.K. Rowling and Jon Stewart, or the Twitter wokers are saying Jon Stewart backtracked on his statement yesterday. Let's see the reaction here. I want to look on Twitter real quick. And tomorrow, be ready for a January 6th anniversary, because I'm going to show y'all some clips from January 6th. Not a lot of people have saw, because I got a lot of footage on what went down on January 6th, so stay tuned for that. So let's see some of these hot takes. Oh, this must be the Daily Mail article. Oh, let's see Wrath. Let's see what Wrath is. Oh, it's followed by some left people I know, like People's City Council, LA. Yeah, those cats are pretty far left. Let's see what they say. Yeah, this isn't a thread full of death threats, not even one. It's been entirely fact-based and cited apart the person said is out of context. This is what they do. They gaslight. They gaslight you. They'll take what you say out of context. They're like, oh, you're just a far-right asshole, you know? You're just a right-wing asshole. You're a reactionary conservative asshole. And here's one funny question. Does that mean goblins can never play bankers? I mean, seriously. I mean, this is like fictional. I mean, that's the whole problem. Like this last, like this whole cultural war ever since 2014 or something. It's like people can't like really like enjoy entertainment for what it is and like escape. Folks always gotta like it must have a political, social bent to it. Not everything has to have a social, political bent to it. I mean, to be honest, Harry Potter they had one. But not every piece of entertainment should have it. I mean, some piece of entertainment should just be escapism entertainment, you feel me? And as you see from the little gender uniform, I mean, I'm pretty woke and tolerant myself for the most part, or similar to Dave Chappelle, but man, it's just been out of hand for the last 6 years. So, anyways, give me your take on this video. Give me a like if you feel this video. Dislike it.